So our learning target today is I can determine if a solution to an equation is correct or not. Okay. So some of you've got some questions in the chat. Dakota, I'll answer your grading question another time. Bea, unfortunately, I'm not there to give you guys the new table of contents, which is what I'd really like to do so that we could start fresh. So for right now, just keep filing it at the back of your old section of math. And then when I come back, we'll get organized again, okay? All right, so before we can determine if a solution to an equation is correct or not, we need to understand what an equation is, okay? So I have my definition here. Okay, so equation. It is basically a mathematical sentence. Remember how we compared equations and expressions to phrases and sentences? So it's a mathematical sentence created by placing an equal sign that looks like this between two expressions. We've actually kind of seen this before because when we were trying to find out whether or not expressions were equivalent, we put an equal sign between them. We basically created an equation that we were just trying to decide whether or not it was true, okay? So you'll see what I mean by that because we're going to be looking at some equations today. So before we get into solving equations, I first want you to become really good at checking to see if a value works in the equation, okay? I'll show you what I mean by that, okay? So let's take a look at an example. So here is negative 8x plus 25 is equal to negative 15. So let's talk about this real quick before we actually do something with this. This over here is an expression. And this over here is an expression. And it's connected with an equal sign, okay? So that's all we're doing when we create equations is we're taking two expressions and connecting them with an equal sign, okay? Now for this problem, I want to see if x is equal to 5, okay? So to figure out if this is a solution to this equation, we're going to have to substitute it in just like we did for our expressions, okay? So I'm going to say, is x equal to 5 a solution to this equation? So that's the question that we're answering here. We're just trying to figure out, hey, if I give you a value for x, we need to find out if that is going to work in our equation. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this equation. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute in this value for x. And just like we did for an equation, we're going to put it in parentheses. We're going to write everything down exactly as it shows. Okay. Now we're going to go through the process, which we did already when we were looking at equivalent expressions. We're going to simplify both sides as needed to see what we get. So negative 8 times 5 is negative 40. I'm going to bring everything else down. Then negative 40 plus 25 is negative 15. Check it out. Negative 15 is equal to negative 15. So we can answer this question we can say because this is true, we can say that x is equal to negative 5 is a solution to this equation. Okay? So our goal then, if we get down to this point right here, and those two are not equal to each other, that it's not true, a true statement basically, then we know that that is not a solution. Okay, so let's look at another example real quick. Okay, so let's say that we're given 11x plus 13 is equal to negative 9. And we want to find out, is x equal to 2 a solution to the equation? Okay, so let's go ahead and substitute 2 in and see what happens. I always put it in parentheses. Then 11 times 2 is 22. Bring everything else down. 22 plus 13 is 35. Now this is not true. 35 is not equal to negative 9. So we can say because 35 does not equal negative 9, we can say that x is equal to 2 is not a solution. Okay. When you get to your homework or your practice later, you can just write yes or no. You don't need to write out a whole sentence. You're just telling me, is this a solution or is it not? Yes or no, okay? All right, so let's take a look. I'm gonna give you guys some practice. We're going to say x is equal to negative 3 question mark. Is that true? And then number 2, 40x plus 55 is equal to 695. Is x equal to 15? Okay. So plug those in. See if they are true, if those are solutions to that equation, those equations. As soon as you're finished, feel free to put some answers in the chat. You could just say yes or no for 1 and 2. So I know you guys are getting close and ready to move on. Looking good, you guys. I'll let everyone get caught up. All right, so yes, I would agree. I would say number 1 is true and number 2 would be a no. Okay, so this is -8 is equal to 6 minus 14. -8 is equal to -8. So we could say, yes, this is a solution. Number 2, we plug in 15. Oops, that's a 5, sorry. This is gonna be 600. Okay, and this is gonna be 655. This is 695. This is not equal. So we would say no. Okay. Well, sometimes your equations are going to get a little bit longer. So I'm going to flip over and just show you one long example real quick, and then I'll give you some time to practice on your own. We're going to be getting to the point where we can solve extremely long and complex equations by the end of probably February. We're going to be solving some pretty crazy stuff. Okay. All right. So this is a little bit longer. For this one, you're going to have to simplify both sides, not just one side. So you're plugging that variable into more than one place. Okay. So I'm going to check and see if x is 2. So I'm going to plug in 2 for x here and 2 for x here. So then I'm going to simplify both sides. So I'm going to do the order of operations here. So I'm going to do what's in my grouping first. And then on this side, all I have to do is combine those. And then 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm basically simplifying 2 expressions simultaneously as I go down. And when I get to the end of all this, I can see that 9 does not equal 7. So we can say this is a no. This 2 is not the solution to this equation. Okay, I'm going to have you guys just try one. I want you to see if x is equal to -4. Okay, so try to plug that in and see if that is a solution or not. Okay, when you've tried it out and you know whether or not that's a solution, go ahead and drop it in the chat so I know you're ready. So I'm getting a lot of yeses, so let's double check. So I'm going to combine like term or do my grouping first. I'm going to then multiply. Then I can subtract. And then over here, I'm going to combine these, multiply, bring it down. And yes, -9 is equal to -9. So I would say, yes, it's a solution. Okay. You guys have like 13 minutes left of class. So why don't you pull up your practice, and if you have any questions while you're working on it, I'm just gonna say right here for you. You're just gonna see that on your practice, it's an equation and it will tell you what the variable is, and you have to plug it in and see whether or not that is a solution. Okay. Dakota, going back to your question from a while back. Actually, let me stop recording real quick.